thing that has helped us out on property crimes, if you look at the number of vehicles, and we've talked about vehicles before, people leave their cars unlocked, they leave their keys in them. We've been having more than we usually have. But out of those vehicles, thanks to our ALPRs that you've helped us get, we have 39 ALPRs throughout the city. We recovered 107 stolen vehicles, which is a lot. And those ALPRs gave us 1,878 hits. And those hits only hit on four things. They hit on stolen vehicles, stolen tags, wanted people, or missing people. So we were able to get several missing people and wanted people, and then recover, a lot of vehicles that were stolen.
Are you finding that those primarily in the decks or on the street? The stolen vehicles, where are you finding them? With the
People in them,
recognition?
yeah, so they'll hit the ALPR, it lets the officers know the area that it was hit in, and they'll get to that area and stop the car. So obviously we got more stolen car hits than that, but they're able to maneuver the streets and get through without getting stopped, some of them.
Not meaning to jump ahead of you, but what happened with arson?
I don't know. I saw that number too, and that's something I've got them looking into to see why that number went up. Some of those will probably be closed out and not be found arsons. We have to we'll take samples from the sites and work with the fire department and send that off to be tested. And if it comes back with no accelerants, things like that, some of those we work them as an arson until we know for sure they're not an arson.
Okay.
Something I'm very proud of is this statistic here, crime clearance by arrest. If you are a victim of crime in Greenville, you have a really good chance that you're going to get justice here. We run double what the national average is for crime clearance. So if you see that our violent crimes, 72% of our violent crimes are cleared. And then also the property crimes, 24% are cleared. A lot of times the violent crimes will fluctuate. The property crimes will fluctuate a lot because think of auto breakings. One person does 25 or 30 auto breakings, but then we get that one break, one car where we get the fingerprint and we're matching and we're able to clear them all out. Well, then you go up. But sometimes it looks like it's down all year, and then you'll finally get your bad guy. But this is a very good statistic. It is, other chiefs, when we go to the chiefs meeting, they talk about, our clearance rate because they're nowhere near this, even in our state, even in our neighboring cities, they are nowhere near this clearance rate. But the detectives are working hard. Everybody does. It's good teamwork. That would be my theme throughout this. As you see these good numbers and the good work done, there is great teamwork going on inside the police department to get this done.
So Chief, if I heard you correctly, is that more of a technical term for just saying assign responsibility to the individual or individuals that committed the crime, clearing it?
Yeah, so this is, we're clearing, when we clear it, it's cleared by arrest.
Okay.
So those are arrests being made. So if you look at that violent crime statistic, 72% of the time you commit a violent crime, we're gonna get you. So that's, really good. All of our murders are solved. You would have to go back years ago to find a murder that was unsolved. Everything. And so we only had 5 last year, which is good, but they were all solved.
We're still solving some of those from years ago.
Right. We're still working on them, still working on cold cases, and that work continues. A big part of this, though, and the teamwork is our work with the community. And so, as y'all know, we've been working, we have the NET team. We have a good, strong crew downtown in the Central Business District that's working. And gets to know our customers. Our customers are our public, our residents, our business owners, businesses downtown. But we have a really good crew downtown. There's 14 officers assigned downtown that do nothing but answer calls there and meet with people and meet with the business owners. And so they're able to keep that crime, especially in these neighborhoods and downtown, down. We have 5 goals that we put in place through our strategic planning over the next years. They are to support diversity, equity, and inclusion, reduce serious crime, maintain safety and order, reassure the public. We're doing a lot of that by our post and our communication, working with our communication staff here and with my PIO at the police department, trying to keep the neighborhoods informed, attending community meetings, and then also provide quality services. You'll see Rachel Hall here. You'll see her in a video in a minute. She's one of the officers that rides the motorcycle. But we have several specialized units that we've really been concentrating on. The neighborhood engagement team, obviously school resource officers, which over the past couple of years, we've more than doubled our school resource officers. Very helpful, especially in reaching kids and starting those relationships early. And it's been very important and very helpful. Community engagement. And Rachel Hall, that you see on the motorcycle, she's in charge of our community engagement. She's assigned to the net team, but she's our community engagement officer. Crowd management and traffic management.
It helps us build a rapport and establish trust.
From neighborhood engagement to bike and on foot patrols to adding school resource officers, the Greenville Police Department is prioritizing prevention by building relationships and getting into communities. Officer Thomas Ferris is with the neighborhood engagement team.
Work in the neighborhood engagement area 3, which includes the communities of West Greenville, the West End, and Sterling. I have literally dozens of folks in the areas that I work that have my direct phone number, and I get phone calls from them on a, if not daily, weekly basis about questions or concerns or things that they're seeing, to be able to say, I know I can call Officer Ferris at this number and he's going to get back to me, I think is a big step in allowing us to build relationships that then later pay off when we might have more serious things going on.
Thank you. You're welcome.
My role at the department is community outreach.
Community policing builds relationships and grows trust. Officers say it helps prevent crime by encouraging citizens to seek help.
Getting to make those connections, it really helps keep in mind all the different perspectives and folks that are out here to enjoy all the spaces that we have.
Over the past 2 years, Greenville Police have added 10 school resource officers to make those connections at an earlier age.
First primary goal is to build a relationship with kids. And when you have somebody there consistently on a day-to-day basis, it just helps, you know, when it does come time for the immediate issue that needs to be dealt with, you've already built that rapport. We used to be considered as a large town, and we've transitioned into, you know, a small city. So with that being said, there's more tourism that's involved, more people like to come to Greenville City.
Patrol Sergeant Gilberto Franco says he's seen Greenville's population grow over his 11 years with the department.
You know, there's a lot of events with that, you know, call volume does tend to go up higher than, you know, than in the past for sure. But at the same time, you know, there are challenges, but, you know, that's where we come into play and we try to make the best of the situation.
Department leadership encourages officers to patrol on foot downtown and make regular check-ins. GPD created a bicycle team and purchased golf carts to make officers more mobile and accessible.
If you have a question about anything, don't be afraid to approach us. There's never a stupid question.
The Greenville Police Department is working to keep us safe, one positive interaction at a time.
In 15 years of law enforcement, I have definitely seen that making even just one connection with somebody for a brief moment can really change the outcome of some serious events. I've definitely seen it several times where, you know, folks that may not otherwise be interested in helping us will step up just because they remember you and they remember how you talk to them, how you communicate with them, how you treat them.
Yes, a great job by Lauren Thomas. She came out, did some ride-alongs with us, wanted to showcase some of the officers and their jobs. And this is just a handful of the officers that, you know, are working hard every day to keep the city safe. So I do want to mention that, but they do a great job. I appreciate Beth and her team, though, and Lauren coming out and doing that. And she did, like I said, did the ride-along, and she seemed to have a good time too in doing it. So another exciting thing we have going on.
Howie, what else are we doing with that video?
We're gonna show it to,
It just got published to the front page of the GPD website, 30 seconds ago, and we're putting on official this afternoon.
Okay,
So,
good.
You like that?
That's excellent.
Yeah, good team. You see all across the department, people that are working hard. Exciting news here, our building. If you haven't been over recently, I know most of you have been through it before. The other day, we took a tour. The mayor was there, the city manager, and it's come a long way. And it's going to be good. I know I'm excited to have my whole team there. So my office is from 426 North Main, which are above the courthouse, all those officers, and then the officers at LEC, they will all be together, which just helps in communication, helps in teamwork, and will certainly benefit the police department. We're on 2 floors there. Part of the floor is communications. Communications will be there also. They're excited having new space. If you're at LEC, if you remember, they're down in the basement. They are in the dungeon. They don't even have a window. They don't know if it's raining, sunny, snowing. They don't know what's going on outside. So now they'll have windows and a view, and they'll actually get to kind of know what's going on. So we're very excited about the building. It's going to be really nice once we get in there, and we're going to be in there this year.
Yes, we are. Yes, yes, we are, Mr. Police Chief.
So y'all gonna have a reunion together when you first get over there?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I've already talked to Chief Johnson. He said, I got to come see the building. I said, yeah, you got to come, come on over. So, but the building is coming along. They are still working on several of the floors, but most of the floors now, they're about to get to, they finished ours kind of painting and flooring, moving down. So it looks like most of the walls are up, most of the doors are in. They're getting to the point they're going to be painting and flooring, and they're finishing up the front atrium, which added the elevator and stairs to get to the second floor, which would be the business center, things like that. But it's really come a long way, and it's going to be exciting. It's going to be good for the city, I think.
So when are we actually thinking about, thinking of a date?
Late summer.
Okay.
Late summer.
This, we often think of the center of the city as here, which of course it's not. Is there an advantage, do you think, to having this? If you look at the center of the city, it really is Pleasantburg. Is that?
So that is close to the city, yeah, and it's got very good ingress egress there. We can be out to 385, to Haywood Road, to Lawrence Road, Woodruff Road, where we're seeing especially a lot of traffic and things picking up, shopliftings, as you know, when we looked at, out in that area. So it's centralized at the police department more in the city.
Yeah.
For sure. And so it should be good. It probably will help response times and things like that. So yeah, we're looking forward to it. There's a couple really good things to it. Patricia will be in that building with me, so I'll be able to go down and get a lot of money. So I'm very excited about that. I've even had them put an extra chair in the corner for me to come down and see her. As y'all know, Chief Ford and the fire department admin will be there. So when the officers need a break, they can go sit in those lazy boys and eat some chili and have a great time with the fire department. So it'll be good. We're lucky. We got a good fire department, good fire chief, and we work well together, but we got to give him a little bit of stuff every once in a while. So,
And then we've got our final slide, which is talking about the priorities for 2025. Go ahead and show that. And one of the things that we'll be putting in the budget is the conversation with council about the addition of Park Police. We're really excited about this initiative, and Park Police, that would be part of our neighborhood engagement team. And so more to come on that in the budget, but we're really excited about that. And our budget will prioritize public safety. And so we'll be hearing about that in a few weeks. I think that one of the things before we go into questions that I would like to say is that, if you see those numbers, what you see is a real stabilization of crime numbers, even as we grow. Last year was our busiest and largest year of annexation the city's ever had, but yet our crime numbers are stable. And I think that shows just the commitment to public safety that our police department shows every day. They are an invaluable resource for our community. And we are very proud of how they serve us and what they do for our community. And I think that when I see the clearance numbers that are twice what the national average is, I see that our calls for service went up by 6,000, but we're still able to respond to that. The number of warnings that we're issuing instead of citations, just the real focus on community that is present in our police department, I think is something that, I am personally very grateful for.
Yep.
So thank you,
Yep,
Chief
thank you.
Thompson and Major Blair, for the work of the Greenville Police Department.
Absolutely.
Howard, a couple of years ago, you did a heat map with where crime was throughout the city. That was very helpful.
we can do that.
If you could redo that. And I think it was focused on drug offenses, gun violations, stuff like that.
Yeah, we
But
can do
that was a great map.
If you look at other cities, I think that particularly in the last few years, there have been real issues with crime. And to know that we've got that under control here, everything else works. And without good law enforcement and feeling safe and having safety, nothing else works. So thank you for all your work.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I always think about the group that came and helped us with our Greenville 2040 plan and going to those meetings with them. And I don't know if y'all recall them saying this, but I met with them and they said, it's amazing. We go to all these cities and always usually in the top 3, at least the top 5, public safety is up there. And they said it is nowhere near the top of this in the top 10 here in Greenville. People
Of concerns.
of concern,
Yeah.
correct. So, they were saying that was such a rarity.
Yeah.
Councilmember Dow.
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry if I was interrupting.
When you're behind everybody, it's like catching the wave last.
So
You're the last one to ride the wave. So CBD, we have 14 officers. Do they work two 12s? Is that 7 per shift or is it,
No, so there's 4 different groups of them that work.
okay,
And then they are supplemented. We have usually on the busy nights. So starting Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, especially, we have the CBD, what we call the task force.
right.
And you get a few more officers in. That's our busy nights.
And how many, are they all in uniform?
Yes.
Because I think presence is the deterrent. Just them being there in uniform to me is the deterrent right there. So I'm, I don't know that I get down there on weekends as much as I used to, just that's deterrent.
Town is our number of side jobs. So a number of restaurants and bars, they hire off-duty officers to work. So you will see them as you go up Main Street, you will see them at different locations as you go up Main Street. And they're there and they're able to answer calls and respond quickly too. So that really is a force multiplier having them here.
I just think having their presence is an invaluable thing. So I'm glad we have that well-staffed. We're going to hear about Park Police in the budget talks. Okay. Of the 16 that we funded last year, 6 being SROs, 10 uniform, how many have we hired?
So I have to kind of describe it. We've hired a few SROs
Okay.
to fill those positions. Those were priority.
Mhm.
But of the 16 positions, we're still, like the 10 that we got from council, we're still trying to hire them. In fact, they were in interviews when I left office today.
Mhm.
But we have gotten many of the SRO positions. I think there's only 2 that we have not filled, of those. So we filled 3 or 4, but we have our 10 city slots still working towards them.
Are all 10 still open or?
Yeah, well, we have a total of probably 16 openings in the department.
Okay. And is
I
it
have
a
2
lack of,
Well, my numbers, I kind of know numbers ahead of when they're gonna fall. I have 2 retiring the end of this month.
Mhm.
So see, I'm counting them too. So we have a number of openings that we're still trying to fill. But we're in an application cycle, so we run cycles.
Okay.
We've worked, that's one of the issues that have come up, that we're gonna start leaving that open all the time because we lose really good people by not having an application open.
Right.
So I've talked to the city manager, we're gonna leave that open now. And then that's important for us because think about if we were at a career fair and think about Councilman Brazington's the county and I'm the city, and I say, well, we'll let you know, sign up and we'll let you know when the application's open. And he says, come right here. We're hiring
Exactly,
right now.
exactly.
Well, see, that hurts us.
I guess what I'm getting at is we've pushed the narrative well earned that we funded 16 additional police officers last year in the budget. However, if there aren't bodies in those positions, we haven't had an impact. And so I think when council approves that funding, we expect that impact. Recognize you can't create people out of nowhere, but it was a high priority for us to fund those last year. And so it's a high priority to hire them. And also I think Halton Road will help with that in terms of recruitment.
Well, last year we hired 22 and we lost 18. So you see, if you figure that into your attrition, in other words, we did add 4 more,
Yeah.
to the department, but at the same time, we lost those 18.
Okay. Well, I would just say anything we can do to help in terms of the hiring we want to do.
And nowadays it's different than used to, that you had officers that used to work 30, 35, 40 years. Those times are done.
Mhm.
Officers are getting 25. The 2 that I have
Tapping
leaving
out.
the end of this month, they've got their 25 and they are retiring. And as they hit 25, they're going to be retiring.
Okay. Enforcement. I think every council member hears this regularly. I'm not so tuned into people, the human being able to say what somebody is doing in terms of their speed on the street. I think y'all are very good at marking what the speed really is. But just very regularly, I'm getting complaints about red light running. And this morning, 1 hour on this route, 3 people almost plowed me down running red light, 2 of whom were in the run the light on Main Street. It is very real,
Intentionally?
maybe. I didn't, Tiananmen Square them, but I'm witnessing it personally. And I don't, I don't know if our cameras can help with that or what, but there
Cameras
is
cannot
a,
help.
okay, so there
State law
is
prevents
a
cameras.
culture that seems to be growing of running red lights. It is frightening. I mean, I'm very conscious of it. I'm hearing about it from constituents. I might be the only one, but I'm personally experiencing it.
Right. We got someone to work and I just talked about this today. Everybody's gonna hurt everybody.
And the way to make them stop is to arrest them or to get ticket them. So I just give that out to y'all. And
To the state.
no, it's our job to enforce when people are running red lights. It is our job to do that, right?
Well, 500 accidents a month, okay? Our traffic guys are pretty busy working accidents. I'm just saying that's, and what we try to focus on when they're not working accidents is the problem intersections. Where we recognize that red light running is causing, the crashes. That's one of the cause factors.
And when we do stealth stats, can we get data on that?
Yes,
Okay.
On that being red lights.
Yeah, running red lights.
oh no, we can't get that on red lights. There's no red light data.
Okay. All right. Well, if I'm the only one seeing it and experiencing it,
No,
I'm just one person.
We've talked,
But-
we've all talked, and I think a lot of it comes down to bandwidth. And so I think a lot of us are talking to the manager about, how we can increase our bandwidth on traffic enforcement and what that looks like.
Okay.
Well,
The last thing,
was also seeing it on stop signs in neighborhoods.
Oh, yeah, traffic
Right.
enforcement, yeah.
but I mean, running a red light is very scary when you're the one crossing at the green and someone's plowing through a red light. I know this isn't under your purview, but I just want to bring it up, because it does have to do with our long-term safety, and that is this issue of the youth detention facility still being closed. How does that impact our officers in terms of when we've had a youth that needs to be taken to Columbia? Does that impact our manpower to have to take them to Columbia, collect them within a day, recognizing that when they are in an adult facility, they certainly aren't being rehabilitated? I fully recognize there are some youth violent offenders that is it is just cause, but we used to have a good, strong youth detention program that we lost in COVID. And now it's not only I'm worried about our youth that are in adult prison, which isn't under our purview, but I'm worried about the impact on our officers having to transport them. So can you just take a minute?
Is that DPS or is that correct?
DJJ.
Well, let me hear from the chief on
I
that.
say the youth aren't going to adult prisons, the youth are going down to a DJJ facility outside of the
In Columbia,
Greenville area.
Okay, all right. So tell me how that impacts what our officers
Yeah,
have
so
to
it
do.
does take officers to transport them there. We pretty
Because
much,
that's where the only youth facility still is.
that's
in
correct.
Columbia.
So we transport them there. We
Is
do
it
have
one
to
officer
then go
or
get
two
them
officers?
to.
Two
and then we have
officers
to
have
go
to take
get them and bring them back for family court,
Mhm.
to see a family court judge. And so they have to schedule it. Usually it's within, 72-hour window that we have to go get them and bring them back.
And when they go down, is it 99 miles back, 30 minutes to pick them up, 99 miles back, so maybe 3 hours?
That's correct.
So 3 hours off the job, and that's because they get a quick pickup and come back.
That's correct.
It's one day and then the next, okay?
They're so busy because remember, Columbia now is not just accepting Greenville's people. They're
Right.
accepting
Everybody.
across the whole state.
Right.
So my guys have actually sent me pictures of being in line 10 cars deep, waiting to get in the Sally Port to drop off,
So that's 2 police officers off the job, basically as drivers, because our youth detention facility is down. And I don't know who more to talk to, but before we had a problem and COVID took it away from us, and it's probably staffing, but something has to be
Yeah,
elevated.
it is
at the
staffing.
state
So they
level.
have to have 28 to 30 people to staff the juvenile detention in Greenville, just the one in Greenville. The problem became the adult side got down so far, they had to pull those 30 over to the adult side just to cover the adult side. The juvenile facility here never housed a lot. 14 to 15 people was what it would house at any given time. And those were your violent offenders. And that's pretty much what we're focused on. If you're a violent offender, youth, that's who we take to Columbia. We have had to cut back. The 5,600 arrests I mentioned, 400 of those are juveniles. So 400 out of that 5,600 were, juveniles that were, and most of those were just detained, referred to, given back to a parent or guardian referred through the family court system, but didn't actually ever make it to a facility.
Wow. Councilmember Bracington, I know you wanted to ask. a
Yeah,
question.
just now's the perfect time to say, even if it's sort of, chiming in the way everybody said, major point of pride, stating the obvious. I mean, for me personally, I know for certain colleagues on council in this whole room and the community, but as John said, I mean, without this, hardly, if anything else matters, right? And so in no small part, besides the top priority, keeping the public safe, we're able to gain ground and do all the things that we focus our energy on because we have such a capable handle, thanks to your team and the hardworking men and women of our GPD and doing everything you're showing there. Yes, about enforcement. For me personally, in my, my experience as representative, it's less about red lights primarily exclusively, but I get that question every week, 52 weeks a year. What are we doing about traffic enforcement? And whatever it is, why don't we do more? And I think we understand the challenges and constraints, but I don't want to miss the opportunity to say, I still think there may be the opportunity to more carefully, or if carefully is not the word, to take a different look at that and contemplate how we might do it differently. Again, it's just, top 5 things that I hear constituents inquire about. So I'll put that on the table. Your slideshow highlighted the work that we do in neighborhoods. I want to commend that as well, because whether it's neighborhood meetings, whether it's not the intentional effort of going around building relationships, but just responsiveness. I mean, the professionalism and friendliness, I mean, just the compassion is just palpable, and that's a great, great thing. I think the final thing is that my interest has been piqued through this presentation, if this might be a follow-up item. So, I mean, this is the whole point of the presentation, right? Greenville's growth rate is this. I don't know what it is annualized, but I know it's more than flat, right? But I'm curious too, that we can't really control, I mean, we can control our recruitment efforts. We can't control, in my view, who elects to go to the academy and graduate. But I'd love to see the net recruitment efforts, right, over a period of time, which is, who we've lost, who we've added, and what that net is, and just understand that. I think we've seen it in the past, but I can't recall seeing it as a council in 3 years or so. And I don't know whether it'll tell me or us, but I just would like to see that when the opportunity arises. So thank you. Keep up the great work.
Yeah, no, we have a good team here, but to talk about enforcement, just to touch on that, you brought that up several times here. If you think about the number of citations, number of warnings, that's over 20,000. Over 20,000. So I think that's an important number when people come to you and ask about enforcement. Over 10,000 citations and almost 10,000 warnings have been written. That's a lot of enforcement.
Yeah.
And if you think about our traffic team, and I guess everybody's seen the Mustang, the black Mustang GT. That's Officer Tommy Moore. He's my top ticket producer.
I haven't seen it because I'm always 25 miles an hour or less.
Well, that's smart with him. Unfortunately, the people passing him are not.
That's really funny.
They are rolling on down the road, but I mean, here's an officer writing 200 to 300 tickets a month, traffic.
Mr. Popular.
He's traffic. That's only traffic enforcement. So, and this selective enforcement team, our traffic team, they all drive unmarked cars. Because when they're sitting in an area, we don't want people, and I get asked that all the time when I'm at neighborhood meetings, well, why do you have a marked car out here? Well, the citizens will see the marked car and slow down, or not run the sign, or not run the red light. They're there to follow up and investigate these allegations that have been made about this intersection or this speeding in this roadway. And so we don't put the billboard out there, right? We put them out there in their Mustang, their unmarked Explorer, their whatever, Toyota 4Runner, whatever. And they do enforcement.
Yeah, that's good perspective you provide. And of course, knowledge remains power. So to be able to go back and share that stat, that's good. But it makes me think, and we've seen this breakdown too, that maybe it's just a good thing for us to continue to look at where the bulk of the enforcement efforts are and the yields are, because to the extent that we're successful in making a difference there, we may continue to think of areas where we might want to add to that. And I know you've obviously been incredibly responsive at trying to achieve just that.
Counselor Dow, you said you had another question?
You would be remiss, so I'm not going to let you be such. At the breakfast last week, we had a team of 5 officers.
Yes.
Or a team of 3 that closed 5 cold cases. And then the number 1 recognizee was from GPD. So can you just take a minute and talk about those accolades from the
Right. So Officer Mauricio Reyes, he is now an SRO. He is big helping the kids in soccer. He's an excellent officer and he was recognized and given an award. And then our crimes against persons detectives. So those are the ones, when I talk about the violent crime clearance rate, 72%. This team of guys, a sergeant, Mike Estes, and our detectives, work hard at clearing those cases, and they did an excellent job, and they were recognized for that.
Didn't
So-
you have a group of retirees too? Was there a group?
No, they help us on cold. cases.
Okay, there was, okay.
Yeah, they sure do.
Yeah, I mean, it was really, GPD stole the show at the Alan Jacobs breakfast.
Yeah,
And
really good.
awards aren't, it's the fact that they had really accomplished a lot in the previous year. Like never before have I seen them recognized.
Yeah, and I guess it's
Right.
important, what I want y'all to see in that is it doesn't just stop with the officer going out and taking the report. That report comes in and there's follow-up, there's work. Sometimes it takes time. Sometimes those detectives, they're waiting on DNA, fingerprints, other information, pulling videos. Some of that hinges on how long it takes a business or someone to get us video. And you'd be surprised at the wait. Some of them, it takes forever. Some of them want a subpoena or they want a search warrant for us to get it. And so we have to go through that. And then some are great, they'll flip it around to you in 5 minutes. So, but they do a great job in piecing it all together and clearing cases.
It was really impressive.
And how I guess with growth in population, I assume that we've also seen a growth in people experiencing homelessness. How are we dealing with that? How are we compassionately dealing with our homeless population?
So most of our homeless, as y'all know, are in this central business district, this area, not far outside of this area. This is where the people are. This is where they like to come. And they feel safe here. Our officers know most of these. When they do something wrong, or we get a complaint on one of them, the officers usually know who it is before they even respond out. But getting them connected to services, also, our homeless court program has started.
Yeah.
So that started the beginning of this month and is going, and we will be referring people we arrest that are homeless or suffering, from, some move around a lot. They're transient, but somebody we get that's transient and homeless, we can refer them to family court, not to family court, to our homeless court. And they have all the people there to help them, get on track. And so I think it'll be really beneficial to our homeless community and help them. And hopefully we'll soon have some success stories coming out of that.
So it's about relationship.
Absolutely.
Think about that story about, Lieutenant Conroy.
Yeah.
I can't remember that, 6 months ago, or how long.
Lieutenant Conroy.
Mhm.
Well, he has helped reunite several people that have been right here in Greenville, get back to their families. Their families didn't even know where they were. And, there they have a place to go and be safe. And he has helped reunite, and several of the officers have helped reunite families with their loved ones that they just had no idea they were in Greenville, South Carolina.
All right, any other questions?
Yeah, two quick things. We talked about vacancies and such. It's still a fact, I guess, around the country. A lot of police departments can't fill vacancies so people don't apply. We don't have that problem. We still have a fairly low vacancy rate. Putting the SROs is kind of a separate issue, it's a different kind of issue, but the regular department, you're still in good shape.
Yeah, we have been lucky. We've stayed in good shape. We are not getting the applications we used to, though. It's slowed down, but, we're obviously hitting all the career fairs, going to the military bases. We've got some really good agreements in place with military. So when they're coming out of the military, they fit right in with our organization and we're able to go to those bases. We have MOUs with them. Army Pays program. We are now in with the Marine Corps, their program. And so we're able to do a lot of recruiting. 30% of our agency they are veterans. So we get a lot of recruitment from that.
Yeah, but it's a pretty severe problem. There are sister agencies in this area than
Right.
other cities. And second, warm weather is supposed to be here sometimes, when it comes.
Not today.
And that means downtown crowds will be bigger than ever. Every year they're bigger than the one before. So I just want to remind quality of life issues downtown with the noise issues and all that. Ready to bring the big billboard signs out again on noise and,
Well, that's what we said
Sure,
St.
we're
Patrick's Day.
watching
We were
that.
downtown St. Patrick's Day. I don't know if any of y'all were
it
downtown.
was unbelievable.
Busy. And we said we all said, this is what our summer's gonna be.
Yeah.
It was a very
I had the
busy,
same
day.
feeling. It was a kind of a different level, believe it or not.
no problems, no big problems, but it was a very busy day.
All right, thank you, Chief.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it very much.
Good A-to-Z presentation.
All right, our next item is a follow-up from retreat where we had talked a lot about our economic development partners. and the work that some of our sister agencies do here at the city, with the city of Greenville and at the city of Greenville. And our Greenville Local Development Corporation has been around for a long time, and we wanted an opportunity for them to come and speak with y'all and give you an overview of their work. I think y'all all know David and Melanie, but we'll let them introduce themselves here in just a minute. But we're very proud to have them here. I attend their meetings every month. They are very efficient. I love how efficient their meetings are. We always finish on time, and I think that's always important. But they do an amazing work of trying to put capital into projects here in our community so that economic development can occur. And I've been really excited about some of the projects that they've been able to help fund that we can see come out of the ground. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to David to introduce him and Melanie, and then we'll go ahead and let y'all take the floor.
Thank you very much. It's probably going to be tough. They put me in charge of talking and technology, so we'll do our best. I'm David Barnett, and I chair the GLDC. Melanie Brown is one of our newer board members, and Mike Panaska, of course, with the city of Greenville, is part of the GLDC, Greenville Local Development Corporation. So just, I won't go through this in too much detail, but we were founded in 1979 for the purpose of furthering economic development. What we like to say, if it's catalytic to economic development, then that's what we're all about. And we really do focus on our word catalytic. It's got to not only bring immediate results, but hopefully bring additional benefits down the road. So self-appointed board, we'll talk about some of those board members in just a minute. Shannon said we meet the second Thursday of the month. I think the last time we actually met in person in this room was February of 2020, and you might imagine why that is. But we meet via Zoom now, and of course, anybody's welcome to join that. We manage revolving loan fund, community grant, and forgivable loan program, part of the job development grant. We works with startup companies. But we've also provided funding for various studies for master neighborhood projects, and that kind of thing. So I'll click on to the next. And on the left side, you just a list of our board members. We have certain parameters of, we want our board to come from various diverse backgrounds in their jobs and the things they're involved in. I'm really proud. I think we have a great board. They're very committed. We have high level of participation. On the right-hand side is those are our funding sources, which have changed over the years. And I'll talk about that again in just a bit. But interest payments, when we make a revolving loan, a loan that is non-forgivable, it comes back in and we reinvest those. Reinvestment of equity positions, and that's a fairly new thing we've done in the last few years. We had projects where making the loan probably was a little outside of our normal risk tolerance of a loan with a dedicated source of repayment. So we've taken positions where we're going to do it. It was a good project, and everything else, let's take equity. And it's paid off very well a couple of times for us. We get an annual administration fee from the Innovate Fund, which again, I'm going to talk about in more detail in just a minute. That's a $100,000 annual fee. Then that's a consistent funding source. Then closing fee from new market tax credit allocations. That is, we get those funds when we close those transactions. And again, I'll get into that in just a minute. But that's where we get our funding from. And please stop me if there are any questions, or so we can come back to it. Here are some of the recent an allocation of where some of the money has gone in terms of the programs. You can see all listed there. The total, this is just since 2020, is $3.6 million, almost $3.7 million that we have funded. And you can see the categories, loans being the largest, the equity equity investments. But you can sort of see, and then of course the grants, those are funds that are not coming back in. The canceled project that we approved but didn't come to fruition, and then to be applied, those are various projects. I think there are 3 of them where we committed funds, but it's on a timing basis. We haven't actually funded those yet.
Mm.
And then on the other side there, you just get an idea of some of the various projects that we've done. Many of those probably are very familiar to you. Some of those may not be, but all met our criteria of being important, creating jobs, and being a catalyst for something that's going to come down the road. So I talked about the Innovate Fund. So in 2006, we formed what was then called Greenville New Market Opportunities, and it was to participate in new market tax credit financing. So that is a for-profit entity, which the GLDC owns 51%, and Sherry Becker Holland, the accounting firm, owns 49%. So it is a for-profit entity. We the GLDC has the commensurate number of board seats versus Cherry Becker. We supported local education, workforce development, a lot of projects that were listed right there in Greenville, Legacy Early College, Greenco Beverage, Judson Mill, Poe West. Those are all projects that we participated in. And you can see now that we're now called the Innovate Fund. We cover Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia. And over the 18 years, and I'm ashamed to say I've been on that board for 18 years, but probably a little too long, but we put out over $377 million in new market tax credits. So, and that, of course, as I said earlier, provides substantial funding to the GLDC to do projects right here in Greenville. Our GLDC projects are focused on companies in the city of Greenville or with connections to the city of Greenville. So you ask, I don't know how familiar you may be with new market tax credits, but it's actually part of the Clinton administration. And we apply to the Treasury. The Innovate Fund applies to the Treasury every year. Some years we get allocations, some years we don't. This past year, we got $60 million allocation. We've already committed all of that, and we're in various stages of closing these projects. But essentially, we sell the tax credits. And if there's a $10 million project, the tax credits are bought by investors, and essentially that money buys down or becomes part of the capital base for that project. Those are 7-year loans, almost always forgivable at the end of the loan. So somebody doing a project is going to have to come in and they'll have to have usually some level of senior debt, some level of equity, and then tax credit, of course, it varies based on the market, but it funds about 30 to 35% of the total project. Some of the ones, early ones here, the Children's Museum, the Marriott next door, a lot of River Place. But you can see there kind of a heat map now of where we have done projects. And of course, our projects are always in low to moderate income census areas. And the more we can do, the better opportunity we have of being approved by Treasury for the next round of funding.
Do we have any in the city pending? I'm not aware of any, really.
Mike, I don't think we have.
The most recent project was Safe Harbor.
Safe Harbor was just closed about a month ago, which is a fantastic project if you're familiar with that.
Judson Mill there was 2 tranches given to Judson Mill, but most recent, again,
Not in the city.
Not in the city.
close, being discussed.
Not in the city yet.
But any project, basically, I guess right now, or what the geography is today, as opposed to years ago, but I guess it's further west now. Maybe it used to be. I doubt Main Street is any longer on the list.
That's the point I was going to make.
In the old days it was.
No longer, no longer qualifies, which is a good thing. Any other questions on the Innovate Fund or how that works? Or any, that's really the end of our slideshow, but I'd be happy to take any questions if you have any, either on the GLDC or hands with the Innovate Fund itself.
Any questions from council?
On that 377 on the last side, the 377 million,
Yes.
do you have a feel for split, of that? How much was South Carolina share, or is that?
The vast majority of it, I can't give you a number off the top of my head, but vast majority, was in South Carolina. We, purposely expanded our service area because again, that allows us better, or affords us better opportunity to get funding from Treasury. But the vast majority of that has been in South Carolina, and you can see with the dots are heavily concentrated in the upstate, which have been Greenville, Spartanburg, done a number
I
of
see
projects.
nothing in West Virginia and Virginia, but
I'm not
maybe
sure where
they're,
it was.
Not yet,
Like to know.
but it's,
they're eligible, but not yet.
I think it's important,
Maybe I can ask that question.
the Innovate Fund just added Virginia, West Virginia as of in the
Services.
last couple of months.
Oh, okay.
So
Right.
it is
They're new.
on the horizon, and it follows very closely with a lot of interest from Washington in terms of the Appalachian.
Exactly,
areas.
Mhm.
exactly.
I know we had discussions last year about providing some funding to onto our housing fund. I believe that went through, right?
It was on
It
the
did.
list, yeah.
It was on there.
So, where's the last? Oh, GH, right. Yeah, that's significant. That's one, I think, the first time an affordable housing project has had a grant or anything like that. So we appreciate that. That's a
Absolutely.
good precedent to set.
Other questions or comments from council? Well, we appreciate y'all being here. Thank you very much. I think it's important to note that they've deployed over 3.6 million in capital in the last 3.5 years. I mean, we're just now into 2024, since 2020. And I think that that's significant when you think about the new companies, and especially when it comes to small business and our entrepreneur network, about what they've been able to help seed fund in terms of getting those projects out of the ground. I think it's very significant, so we thank you.
Thank you. Our pleasure to be a part of it.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Mayor, we're ready to move into executive session.
How many items do we have this time?
Only 5 today.
Only 5.
Hey, 5 minutes behind, Chad.
Do the announcement.
Okay.
Is there a motion?
Well,
So moved.
motion to
That we
second.
need to hear. Yeah, we do it the other way around. Whatever. That's okay. You'll have 5 items to discuss. Most are under 3470A subsection 2, proposed acquisition of property on West Washington Street near Unity Park. An update on a zoning litigation matter, prospective disposition of city property on North Main Street, lease update Peace Center, and under subsection A1, appointment of individuals to a public body.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.